It started on Tuesday last week when the rain starts to fall, and it never stopped, and it was heavy rain. And
Markus, I have a question.
Please.
Has anything like this happened before?
Not in this extension. No, never. It is for us here in Germany, it's the worst case since the end of the war, with so many dead people. And the last thing was what was declared as the flood of the century happened in 2002. And it was coming from another river. It was the Oder in the east of Germany, and there we had already a flood, but it was in no way comparable to what we are seeing here. This is historic. This is historic for us, And as I said, it started to rain on Tuesday. It never stopped. It stopped now yesterday in my region. The weather front went over to the southern part of Germany, and it hit Belgium and the Netherlands also, not as hard as it hit us, but it was incredible photos I've seen in the past days. It is, for the people there, it is unbelievable that they lost everything from 1 minute to the other.
Entire villages.
Many
right?
people. Sorry.
Entire villages have been swept away.
Yes. There's one town who is not existing anymore. It was taken away by the flood, and a lot of people were trapped in their basements when they tried to get the water out. They were killed by the water. They could not get out anymore, or they were killed by electricity. Some people, it seems, were trapped in their cars, in the middle of the highways. They are now, as it seems, they are still in the cars, 12 meters underwater. It is crazy. And to give you an expression of the power this thing has, please run the first clip.
Before we run it, just as you're watching these images, just think about all the crap that's being swept out into the ocean and into rivers, all the chemicals from basements, everything, all of that, and that adds to the catastrophe.
Yes, I heard from one village where the flood has gone now slowly. This village is not inhabitable anymore because nobody can live there because of all the stinking of the oil. They had oil tanks for their heating systems, and you cannot live there anymore. You cannot breathe there, and there are so many people who, as I said, who lost their homes, who lost everything. And when we were in the green room before the show started, as I told Keith and Amos, we are in Germany are experiencing exactly what we are used to see annually from Bangladesh. When the monsoon rain starts, the people are walking in the water with the water up to their chest, and this is exactly what we are having here in a so-called highly industrialized country. When you look at Bangladesh, the so-called third world country, we are saying, okay, it happens there, and they don't have the infrastructure for this. And it proves now what we are seeing here. It proves now it doesn't matter if you have a good infrastructure. In contrary, it also can escalate all this what's happening here. But give us an impression of.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, please run the first clip to give us an impression of the power we are experiencing here. This is a small bridge, It goes through. It does not even stick in there, It is just pressed like paper. This.
Unbelievable.
And you can imagine, that when people are trying, to get into this flood, if it reaches half the under part of their leg, they are gone because the streaming is so intensive. The last thing I heard, it was 4 or 5 firemen also died doing rescues. People are sitting on their roofs, trying to get help. Helicopter pilots have problem because a lot of poles, electric poles fell down, and it's very difficult and dangerous to be over a roof, because of all the stuff which is also coming up in the air by the rotation. It is a very, very dangerous job for all who help. And you see this in this picture, it is. Yeah, it is incredible. And it is not that it's caused by the big rivers here in Germany. The big rivers are still intact. We are expecting the biggest wave coming to Cologne tonight or tomorrow evening. But it was the small rivers, which caused it.
200 centimeters of rain.
In parts, yeah, but
200 millimeters rather. I said centimeters. I meant millimeters.
No, the millimeters is nothing. We had about 150 liters on the square meter.
Yeah, there you go.
And what I said, in how far an industrialized country, the industrialization can be also an accelerator for such a catastrophe. Is if you got a lot of ground sealed, with concrete and streets and stuff, there is no way the water can run, And we did the same with our rivers here in Germany. This which causes normally the problems, We made them highways, We don't give them the chance anymore if we got a high water incident, that it can go into little valleys, who are untouched, It is just rushing, and it is rushing so fast. It is unbelievable. But in this case, as I said, it comes more from the hills, and it all collected in the little rivers, and those little rivers, which are normally hardly visible because they are so small, they became giant rivers, who took away everything which was on their way. Please roll the second clip to show you the dramatic in it. Do you see the speed of the river? How fast it is floating down?
And in addition to that.
Oh ja, guck mal, Lena.
There you see the power, right? And the other thing is, even though they see the fire brigade, and they are saving a fireman who is now getting into the side of the car, Otherwise, he may be also drowned because look at the stream. It is, and they are fighting through it, and wow.
And in addition to all of that, there's 150. I don't know if the number is gone 150 dead, but also over 1,000 missing, right?
Yes. There for days, 2 days ago, it was a number of 2,300 people still missing. Wow. But this was explained with the families don't have any contact to them anymore. This is caused by the mobiles are not working anymore. There are areas in where this catastrophe happened, which you cannot talk with your sisters, with your uncles, with your parents, etc. And so they are officially still missing, But 2 days after this, there are still hundreds missing, and this is what's worrying. We don't know who is still stuck in houses, in basements. This we will see in the following days, and it will be a very dramatic experience for all the helpers there. They are already dealing with so much death, and it's heartbreaking to see. The only good thing about it is that there is a immense wage of solidarity here in Germany. The people are giving stuff, they are giving money, they are giving food, they are giving clothes, games for kids, and there's so much. They're giving rooms, houses, hotels called and said we got rooms for the people, and meanwhile it is so that the hotlines ask people not to call anymore for housing, because they got everything covered. They need the telephone lines to be free, for the important things to coordinate the rescue, which is still ongoing, and all the bad weather or the heavy rain is not gone. It moved forward. It moved south. To be honest, it moved south to Bavaria now, and. Yes.
Do you think it's going to have an effect on the upcoming elections?
It will, in my opinion, it definitely will. And if you look at some politicians, they are already using this. There was one of the Green Party who tried to use this for political reasons, and he withdrew his tweet later. But you can see it also with the chancellor candidate from the Conservatives, who would like to follow Angela Merkel. They are also using this. They are very careful doing this, because they know it's a very difficult terrain they are moving in. But definitely it will have consequences. And if you look in Germany, the situation is like that there is only one party. The people have the competence in environment and climate questions, which is the Green Party. Unfortunately, in the past weeks, the Green Party lost a lot of votes because of irregularities of some candidates. But I guess after this, I think a lot of people will think twice which party to vote. And there's also another interesting fact coming up, that people are asking, why didn't we get warnings earlier? Why could this happen to us?
We got the warnings 30 years ago.
Yes, Keith is absolutely right. We know for 30 years that these extreme weathers are more and more likely, and exactly what we are seeing, what we're experiencing here, is happening right now. But the question is, why couldn't they warn us in advance? And then the governments and the politicians tried to blame our weather forecasters and our weather stations. And they refused to take the blame. They said, no, we informed everyone already last Friday. So it was known since last Friday that there is a threat of such a rain catastrophe. It was known, but it was not.
Messenger?
I'm sorry.
Is that called shooting the messenger?
Yeah.
Shoot the weatherman?
It is kind of. Yeah, they tried this. They said we got no information, but there were several who said no. Even in the morning on a Monday, they have a color system, and the violet color is the highest alarm. We said we put everything on violet. Everybody knew it. We informed everyone, and they cannot understand that the people who are near, because they knew what would happen. They knew that it would concern the small rivers. They said they cannot imagine that the people were not evacuated within a 50 meters radius from those rivers. And this is the next political thing we have to deal here with in Germany, and I can guarantee you this will influence the elections.
Likely, but what comes to mind when I see those images and those clips is the images that were showing this in Al Gore's movie initially, and how conservatives were ridiculing it. And this is exactly what we're seeing. There's no denying it anymore.
I remember this. Yeah. And look, this is let me quickly. Yeah, this is a place. I forgot to put the name on it, but this is a place. We in Germany. A usual place with houses. With a playing field and stuff, and show how it looks like now. Go for the next one. This is what's left, and even though you can still see the houses sitting in the water, it doesn't mean that those people can come back. Because the problem is that the flood caused also that the basement, the fundament was washed off. So thousands of houses are now threatened to collapse because they got no fundament anymore, or only parts of it left. You can see houses torn into pieces, torn into a half, where the fundament could not hold it any longer.
And it takes years to get back and rebuild. And by then,
Definitely.
there might be another one.
Yes, yeah. First that, and those people who have the chance to go back into their houses, which might not being conflicted with this. They also got problems now for the next couple of months, because everything is torn. They have no power anymore. They have no heating anymore. They have nothing anymore. Everything is destroyed. They got to rebuild everything from the scratch.
Like a hurricane without a hurricane.
Yes, it was just rain. Yeah, bombing down. It was a water bomb.
And if there is agricultural soil in that mix, agricultural areas, just be assured that a lot of it has been swept away because we're using monoculture practices, which weakens the topsoil, so everything gets washed off.
Yes.
I wish there was more permaculture, which would keep the soil more clamped up together and reduce the amount of washing away, but I'm sure that has affected those lands as well.
Yes. Yeah, it leaves us speechless here, more or less, and at the moment the people are under shock. We have seen so many interviews with people there who lost everything, but they're trying, to keep their chin up, and the only thing which helps those people at the moment is that they're experiencing such a wave of solidarity, and most importantly, that the neighbors are stand together, that they're supporting each other. This gives so many people, there's so much power, strength to go on in this absolute chaos, right? Yeah, we will see how it develops. It is not over next week. Yeah. The body count will be going up. This is no question. But it should show us clearly, as I said at the beginning, what we are seeing here, what we're getting used to seeing from the so-called underdeveloped countries, when they got their monsoon rains or other catastrophes are coming over them. It is a complete different thing, when you experience this on your own. And it doesn't help you, when you think you have the technique, you are industrialized enough. It doesn't help you, when the environment, when it hits back, and it does it with all power. And a little bit, if you look at all this, what happened, you saw last week we talked about the extreme heating in USA and Canada. This week we have the floodings here in Germany and parts of Europe. It is a little bit like, that the planet is trying, to get rid of the parasites called humans, and it does it with all its power. Enough is enough.
And this is happening even in places that you wouldn't think of, like
Yes.
New Jersey, for example. You don't hear anything on the news, but we've had like record-breaking over 100-degree days in 17 counties. Today is expected. I don't know if you can hear the thunders, but in the background. But today is severe weather. Just a moment after it's been like over 100. This expecting deluge. So this is just basically happening everywhere, but it's not really acknowledged at the level that it deserves.
Yes. Yeah. But this will change. I guarantee, because this is not as I told you, the last flood we had in 2002. And it was our Chancellor Gerhard Schröder, and he was talking about the flood of the century. This was 20 years ago. And now we got again a flood of the century. It is just like the same in the US, when you got your fires, your wildfires, right?
In Texas,
Every time it is more historic, it is more monumental, it is more biblical. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Texas and Arkansas had the same kind of flooding, maybe not quite as bad, a couple of months ago, and that was in the news. It was kind of, at the falling off our news cycle now, and people are forgetting about it. But yeah, 2 months ago, Arkansas and Texas were in fear of this storm that was coming in off the Gulf of Mexico, and there's some people that had been lost their houses in a hurricane. I forgot which the name was, a recent one, and boom. They lost their house again because of a similar torrential rainstorm. And so, this is happening more and more. And one aspect about this is, I kind of wrote this up about this the other day on, I have my own website, is that can you attribute these things to climate change or not? And it turns out that you can. If the climate scientists methodically goes through the data, all like ocean temperature, and does all the simulations, they can figure out, yes, was this caused by climate change or not, or could it have happened statistically, like the 1 in 1,000 year event sort of thing. And it turned out there was a heat wave about 2003. I may have the year wrong. Early in the 2000s, there was a heat wave in Europe, killed like 30,000 people, and just huge heat. And scientists were able to determine that it was linked to climate change, but it took them over a year before the results were published. So, the scientists are looking at this and say, hey, the news cycle is much too short for this. We've got to do better. So, so some guys got into it, and there's a name for it. I have to fire up do I have it up here? Maybe it's too hard to find, but there's a name for this stuff and the discipline. Oh, here we go. Extreme event attribution can be compared with the speed at which COVID-19 vaccines are tested, where they had an acceleration in the testing. Doesn't mean they weren't tested. Doesn't mean they were tested as well as maybe they should have been, but they were tested, right? So, but you had an acceleration. You were doing things in parallel. So these climate scientists came up with this discipline called extreme event attribution. And so they determined that the recent heat dome event in the Pacific Northwest that I went through 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, in 9 days, they determined that, yes, that was not a 1 in 1,000 year event. That was something that is directly associated with anthropogenic global warming, which is, human caused, what people are doing.
Yeah.
So sorry to, you go off on that nerd talk there, but it's fascinating that, that's where the scientists are, that they can figure this stuff out, but the rest of the public sort of doesn't know.
Yeah. It is also remarkable, when it comes to to politics, you know, who will profit from this, in quotation marks, in a couple of weeks at the elections, that our Minister for the Interior, Horst Seehofer, who is not known to be someone who supports green politics, you know, he was coming with a statement yesterday, and he said, okay, there is no question that all this has a deep connection with climate change. And this is coming from someone from the very conservative part of the conservative party of Angela Merkel, you know. And this is a clear indicator that our election in a couple of weeks, there's only one topic, you know, and this is climate change.